What's going on, everyone? Thanks for joining us for another episode of Dr. Homebrew. This is the show where normally we drink homebrew, but today this is our, I guess it's not our holiday one or our Christmas one because this comes out in January, I think, but it's a New Year party. Hey!
Ooh, yeah! 2023, yeah!
Yeah, let's go, baby!
We're feeling festive.
Yeah, we decided to party. We're going to do what I consider an epic tasting. And I don't use that word very lightly, but we're involving celebration. You guys know me. I'm going to figure out a way to involve celebration ale in any show at any given time in this time of year. So not only do we have a fresh bottle of celebration from 2022, but Brian Cooper and I, and if I had thought about it, I would have given one to Brian Shar. We have a bottle of 2021 celebration, but the main event for this is a bottle that Brian Cooper has donated, a 2014 bottle of Celebration Ale from Sierra Nevada Pale Ale Brewing Company. I don't know. So I think the thought was, number one, we're just going to taste it and just have fun. It's going to be a fun show. And then we're going to, maybe bust the 21 and then compare those and then crack that 14 and see how things have aged. I personally like an aged Celebration Ale. 6 months, a year even is fine for me. I don't care. I actually don't really, I like it more. I'll tell you what, I have 3 12 packs of cans in my house. I have another 12 pack in the fridge that has one missing. And then I probably have, I don't know, 8 bottles of this year's celebration, and I will keep that shit through maybe even through the year.
Wow,
I like it.
You're not keeping it for like 2030?
No, not that bad. But I'm very excited about it. Chuck is saying it's okay, and I don't know if he's saying it's okay that we don't have any homebrew on the show, or if Sierra Nevada is just okay. And I'm hoping it's the former, not the latter. Because I might
hoping you're not
ban his IP address or something like that.
I hope you're not expecting great things out of the really old one, because considering how poorly I store my beer sometimes.
I'm not expecting great things necessarily, but I don't know. It'll be fun. Let's go, right? Why not?
The only beer I have in my house right now is a 12 pack of Celebration, and I think I have a Narwhal that was it's kind of older, and it was at the liquor store, clearly stored really hot, and it's not as good as Narwhal should be.
Well, that's probably true. Chuck is saying that celebrating ale is just okay. I know what you mean, Chuck. I'm just making fun of you. I don't like you very much. I feel like I judge people. No, kidding. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I don't know how you can't just be totally in love with this beer, but also I wonder if it's coming from the way we were, and I don't know Chuck's drinking background, but if you're 2000s drinker, something like that, you drink this like, whoa, this is sort of different and whatever. But a lot of beers now are trying to sort of be more, they're more flavorful, I guess, or in flavorful in different ways. And I wonder if that is now not replicated, but today's craft beer drinker who hasn't, who maybe now discovers this goes like, yeah, I don't know, it's fine.
And did you know that there's a Celebration IPA popcorn recipe on the Sierra Nevada website?
What do you do with it? What is it? Tell me. Tell me what it is. I haven't vomited yet today.
You take 2 cups of popping corn, some oil, some toasted nuts, cup of dried fruit, vegetable oil spray, half cup of Celebration, half cup of water, 2.5 cups sugar. I think it's like a kettle corn made with Celebration, kind of a thing. Teaspoon of salt, some light corn syrup, some baking soda, some unsalted butter. You heat it up in a large pot and shake it continuously like you do for popcorn. And you pour the caramel sauce over the popped corn and try to coat it evenly, and then add the nuts and fruit. And put on a sheet pan to kind of let it dry. So it
nuts and fruit. Get out of here.
Yeah, it's like a fruit cake with beer.
Yeah, who cares? Who gives a shit?
Popcorn. I don't know.
Nuts and fruit. All right.
I thought you'd be excited, JP.
I'd try it. I would try it. I don't know that I would go through the effort to do it.
Or you could choose the Celebration IPA stuffed turkey breast. That's another one.
Well, I'll tell you what, Paxton has this recipe for come on, dumbass, roasted garlic mashed potatoes on his website. And I always use Celebration in mine. So there you go. There's that hot tip for you guys.
If they're on Paxton's website, they're probably the most delicious mashed potatoes you've ever had.
Well, they are, because it's like equal parts butter and cream. And then so you make like the sauce basically, and then you add that into the mashed potatoes as you want. But it's like, it's a lot, man. Like 1,000 sticks of butter and like 10 gallons of cream. You're like, what the fuck? It is so. So I never use as much butter or as much cream or as even the whole thing, but it is very delicious. But before we get tasting for the celebration, and then we also have Delirium Noel to drink at the second break.
It's
What style is that, Brian?
It is actually the Delirium Noel.
Delirium, not Deconic. What a dumbass I am.
Yeah, from the brewery whose name I don't know how to say. Huige.
Sure, man. That
Something
sounds
like
good.
that.
Yeah. And what style is that? Belgian
It's a Christmas ale.
Christmas ale. Okay.
So, but I think it's based on a darker strong, like the Delirium Nocturnum kind of a base, but with some spices, I believe. So yeah, we're still researching here at Dr. Homebrew.
I'm excited about that. Well, you don't have to tell anybody. Nobody knows. You know what I mean? It's for all anybody else knows. I think I might change my light, and I think it looks weird. Anyway, whatever. Before we get to all that, I want to thank 5-Star Chemicals. You go to 5starchemicals.com right now and learn about the best way to clean and sanitize your home brewing equipment. And while you're there, you can squidge on over to find out about their Homebrew Club program, which I think is pretty cool. You can get discounts on PBW or their other products. If you want to test out products from 5-Star before they're even on the market. And if you want free monthly educational seminars to up your homebrew games, you want to join 5-Star Homebrew Club program. It's easy. It's free. Join now. 5starchemicals.com. There it is. Delirium Noel.
Delirium.be tells you everything you need to know.
All right. Well, let's do the celebration ale, boys. Let's go. I'm ready.
You don't want to start with this 10% Belgian one?
Is that what we're doing? What should we start with? I actually don't really know. I assumed celebration.
Celebration.
Yeah, that seems more logical to me.
So what year? 14, 22?
I would start with the fresh and go.
Let's go.
Older.
Let's do this thing.
All right.
I hope this can doesn't explode on me. I kind of dropped it.
No, don't do that, man. My wife says that she can tell the difference between cans and bottles, and she likes the bottles better. And I think she's a liar. What do you guys think? Can you tell the difference? Do you know? And to be fair to her, I don't know if it's because it's like the drinking sensation out of a bottle because she's a heathen and doesn't put it in a glass.
Oh, God.
Versus a can or whatever. But
yeah, I can see that making a little bit of a difference, maybe. Just if you're drinking it out of the container rather than pouring it into something. Because
maybe.
just that, I don't know, the bottle doesn't have any taste and the aluminum shouldn't have any taste, but you should be better able to keep gunk off the bottle, if it's going touching your mouth. And maybe if the can's a little dirty or something, maybe she could be getting some of that.
Yeah, but she's married to me, so gunk is sort of in her lifestyle.
It's right in her wheelhouse.
Yeah. What already impresses me about this beer constantly, whenever I pour it in a glass, is just the head is like so long lasting. I mean, you just drop that bottle cap in there. No, you can't see.
I poured mine a few minutes ago before the show started, and you can see if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, just the Belgian lace on the side of this glass. It's an inch deep where I initially had poured this, and it's really amazing.
So, what style would this be?
I'm going to call it a red IPA.
Okay, and I know we've done it before, so before you guys give me shit about that, I don't care.
Yeah,
I like the beer, but we don't need to like go through every nuance. But I think if we can have you guys just pick out some of your favorite parts of the beer, and then maybe how we can, what we can do at home if we want to get a beer like this. What do you think? A little information?
Sure. Well, I think it brings, it comes out in the later fall time here, and it does summon, associations with fall and winter, and that it's a rich reddish colored beer. Like you said, it has a head that lasts forever. It's a beautiful color. If you're drinking a pale, pasty, clear, straw colored beer at the end of November, it's, well, there's something wrong with you. No. But I think it is a beautiful color for the season. I don't know. It's got a good tight packed bubbles for the head.
Yeah, the carbonation on this thing is always on point.
Yeah, it really is.
Yep. So, getting into red IPA, in the aroma, you should get, in this one, you get more of a citrusy, resiny kind of impression from the hop.
Mm-hmm.
You can also, in others, you could get a pine, berry, melon, or tropical fruit character.
This is the beer I think about when people say resin.
Yeah.
Pine resin or whatever, sap. It's very resinous, but not overwhelming. I don't know. I don't know do you think you can have too much like a resin quality in a beer?
I think that the resin works well with a red IPA. If you're going to use a hop with it, you can choose one that's a little more on the resiny side of things. They use Chinook, Centennial, and Cascade as the hops in this beer. And, malt wise, it has some caramelized malts. They don't say which, but
no,
with some two-row pale.
I'll tell you what they do. Is they dry hop some and they blend it together.
Really?
I don't think anybody knows that. That's what they told us at the brewery anyway, because they told us at the brewery.
Yeah. Now dry hops are going to help.
That's the beer that I had off the tank is a dry hop.
If you just get all your hops from the boil, it's might be a little hidden behind the richer malt that is there.
Yeah.
And
but I think, I don't know many breweries that will do that and will dry hop a batch and blend it with a non-dry hopped beer to partake some of those flavors that you get, those intense flavors that you get from dry hopping, but you don't want to also like alter the beer, because I feel like this came out before dry hopping was really a thing.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, they were making this in the 90s, probably, even in the 80s.
Probably, honestly.
Well, this beer is also about, they brew it once 81. A year for a reason. It is during the hop harvest season. So they're rushing around the Northwest, over a matter of a few days, trying to collect, hand selecting the good Cascades and Centennials for this beer, to give it the aroma and flavor profile that they want.
It is first brewed in the winter of 1981.
Wow. I was still in high school.
What a beer before its time. And I know, like, I'm a sort of like a celebration, I don't know, stan or whatever. But what a beer to stand the test of time from 1981. That is outrageous to me.
A lot of people still look forward to it coming out every year too. So,
yeah.
The bitterness is more substantial than you get in a lot of more modern IPAs. I don't think they've changed that much over the years. It's got a good level of bitterness that's standing up to the malt there.
Yeah,
pleasant flavor.
It's got a firm bitterness to it. It's interesting. I'm taking a quick look at the reading the story of so it's got 65 IBUs. So that's a pretty firm, it's a pretty bitter beer, which I like. It's the same recipe every time, which is what Sierra Nevada says, and I don't doubt them. What's interesting is you were talking about they brew this right around like hop harvest time, and there's a story on their website about hop selection, that if it's one of those years where it's cool weather and the cascades aren't quite right, you might not get a good cascade until it's too late, but you got to put the cascade in. And one of the Sierra Nevada employees says it's the cascade that can really break celebration. So yeah, I can get, if they're trying to do like a fresh hop type beer and the cascade is just not working out that year, then you're going to use the same recipe. You probably have to go back in the hop library and get some pellets that are from last year or something that are still going to be good, but they're not going to give you the character that you want, and it's not going to give you, maybe as the consumer, exactly what you're expecting.
Yeah,
That
agreed.
could there could also be why it seems to vary sometimes as to when it comes out in the stores. A lot of times, my birthday's in October. A lot of times it's out by then. Sometimes it takes a little longer.
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does. And you know what? On the back of these 3 bottles, they have the bottled on date, and they're all different. So the one in 2021 was bottled on 9/29. The one that was this year's was bottled on 10/20.
Interesting.
So that's a 2-month difference. No, 1 month difference. I'm really smart. The one from 2014, 11/18.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it was like part of the first batch, but that's a big,
they keep brewing it for a while, I guess. I have a can from 11/04/21, or else maybe they just have it in bright tanks and can it off. I don't know.
Actually, thinking about it, I think they do one run, because it's all like you can already not get it at like Total Wine, but I found some at Whole Foods and I grabbed another 12 pack because I'm a whore.
Because to get the fresh hop, you have to do that kind of all at once. I think.
Yeah.
Right from the field to the onto the brew kettle. I'm gonna open the 21. Do you guys want to open your 20?
Yes, I do. God,
at least JP. Let's do that.
Yeah, Brian Shar, why don't you?
I'll open. Oh yeah, sorry.
You don't have a library to go to. That sucks, man. Only Brian Cooper and I are.
While you guys are opening that up, this 22 really is. It's a classic. It's the old school West Coast IPA where you really have the malt that's backing up the hop bitterness.
Yeah. It's clearer. Mine is crystal clear.
Your 21?
Yeah. But my 22 is there's some haze to it.
Yeah, my 22 is hazier as well.
I think it's certainly not hazy enough to be a hazy, but I wonder if like the hop polyphenols have dropped out some and then we're getting like chill haze in the 22.
Maybe.
And the 21 is old enough that, some of that stuff might have dropped out.
Yeah, possibly.
Very likely.
Yeah. All right, well, let's give it a little snifferino. It's already, of course, it's already not as pungent, not as powerful.
It's a little more toffee-like, a little more caramel comes through when in the nose. The hops are less pronounced for sure.
Yeah, I get a little banana actually. Like a little tiny bit, like ripe, like underripe banana peel almost.
I'm not getting that so much. There is a fruitiness to it, but it's more of just kind of the generic, kind of apple pear, fruity esters,
oxidized
ale fermentation.
I feel like it's raisiny.
Yeah, there's a little bit of like a not sherry like, but yeah, raisiny is a good way to put it.
Raisiny, almost thin.
Honey.
There's like honey. There's like a slight thinness to the mouthfeel that I wonder if, because the hops are so present in the flavor, that they sort of boost the mouthfeel. Is that a thing, do you think? If can the bitterness leave an impression that or at least mask a quote unquote thinness in a beer?
Yeah, the bitterness is dropping out there, and it feels less like even the mouthfeel. It does feel a little less on the syrupy side, or the maybe it could be that some of the oily kind of resins and stuff are breaking down in those hops and turning into other compounds as it ages, leaving less of kind of a richness to the mouthfeel that you sometimes get.
I forget that's a thing. Like the compounds will break down, but then they can sort of form other things.
Yeah.
That's the other side of I guess beer aging that I don't really think about too much.
That's why we need like John Palmer or somebody on here to tell us exactly like in the chemistry level what's happening.
We should have called Nicole up is what we should have done.
Yeah.
Let's call her. Then she would have berated us for not giving her the beer. And rightly so.
We should just call her right now and tell her we're drinking Celebration and get her opinion.
Yeah. Hey, Nicole, do me a favor. Next time we do like commercial stuff like this, I want to try to get her in. I keep saying that. I've been saying that for years and I don't do it. But yeah. Anyway.
And we should say that Sierra Nevada is not paying us to drink this beer.
Correct.
We bought it ourselves.
Literally free advertising, free marketing or whatever for Sierra Nevada. Because they're good people and they make amazing beer. They make basically 2 of my favorite beers.
Yeah, it is the second time I believe that we're coming back to this beer as well. We did it once as a commercial calibration. Now we're doing kind of a comparison with it, but
that's what I'm saying. I will find any and all reasons to drink Celebration and talk about it and have Justin pay for it.
Yeah,
it's always a good idea.
Yeah,
the 21 is held up pretty well. It's a little, like you said, it feels a little lighter bodied. The head is still incredible. It's just lacing the glass like crazy, and it stays forever. And
but yeah, it tastes almost like I don't want to say an old ale, but I guess maybe kind of, because that's that richness, caramelly thing coming through that I feel like people are trying to fake with like Special B, stuff like that. That aged property, but it's lighter. It's like a British crystal, like British crystal versus American crystal. That's the difference for me.
The malt character will change too. Like when you first taste a fresh stout, an imperial stout, and then you let that age for a while, those the most biting kind of components of those darker malts will smooth out over time. And some of those compounds are changing a little bit too, getting more towards the fruity and smooth and warm kind of side of things, as opposed to the sharp and astringent biting thing. So I don't think it's just the bitterness that's fading that's making it a little smoother. I think it's also the malt. And of course, the hop flavor is fading a little bit, letting the maltiness shine through a little more, but it's not intense on the 21.
No, it's good. I don't know. I still like, well, here, okay. Let me back
It's still
off.
balanced.
Let me calm down. Yeah, let me put my erection away. And it's still, I would still drink. I mean, if I got served this as a beer called an aged XYZ beer, I think this is great. I would think it's great. And from what it came from, this, knowing that it's Celebration, I think it's good. I do like it. I like it. I'm not turned off by it.
But it does at the same time seem a little bit perverted to just simply take a beer that is marketed because of it being fresh hop and then letting it sit for a year. And
perverted. Yes, I know.
2014 until now, that's going to be 10 years before.
Because it has that bitterness is still sharp. It's still not sharp. It's still pronounced. Still a massive amount of bitterness in there.
I'd like to hear from our listeners if there are people that really do age it. I like to age the Sierra Nevada Bigfoot.
I'm listening. I'm telling you right now.
I don't intentionally age the Celebration, but sometimes I keep some around.
Yeah. So let me clarify. The 21, I kept when I get down to my last like 24 pack or 12 pack, if I buy, I'll dip in it every once in a while. And I drank, this was my very last Celebration ale from last year. And I had the one previous to this in like September or October. Mm-hmm. So when it gets down to like the stash, I'll maybe pull out one a month and just drink it, and it's still just awesome. For Bigfoot, I bought this like at Sierra Nevada when we went for the brew day, whatever, the beer camp. They were selling 6-packs of aged flights of Bigfoot.
Yeah, you
I bought one. Yeah, and it's for me the 7-year aged Bigfoot it's the best. That's the 8 no good. 6 still not there.
There's always, like with wine, right? There's a bell curve, and there's a point in that curve when it's the best, and you can tell when you've gotten right past the peak of that curve, and then you should drink whatever it is you've got
instantly. Yeah, and I think beer has a shorter window for that. Or no, longer window for that. No, shorter window. Yes, that's what I mean. Shorter window.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, has the magic moment when it hits that prime.
I like it. I think it's fine. It's not offensive to me. If I went out and someone said, "Hey, I have a year-old Celebration on tap. Do you want some?" I would say, "Yes, I do." Yeah. But I probably wouldn't get a second one.
Yeah.
If that means anything to anybody. You want to do the 14?
Let's crack it.
All right.
I sure wouldn't kick the 2021 out of bed. It's better than I thought it would be.
Well, look at that.
If you're drinking in bed, Brian, you might have a problem.
Yeah. Look at that color. It is darker.
It's way darker.
2022. Look at that.
There wasn't a big color difference between the 21 to 20 2.
No, just the clarity, but the color on the 14. And then the head also.
Yeah, there's almost no head on the 14.
Yeah. It's very undercarbed.
Mm.
Wow, and it smells like paint thinner.
Yeah, it does have kind of that paint thinnery. It's definitely, you definitely get the oxidized cardboard. You definitely get a little honey. But now that you said paint thinner, I can't get that out of my head.
Well, and if you look, and you guys tell me, so these are oxygen absorbing caps, I think. The bottom of the cap, if you look underneath, maybe you can't see on the camera, but whatever, who cares? It's like bubbled up. So in my mind, I go, well, that's the oxygen being absorbed. So first of all, this is oxygen from 2014, everybody. But I wonder, you know, and looking at like last year's cap, it's not that much. So I wonder if their bottling has gotten better. And you know what I mean? You see where I'm going with this? Where like in 7 years, the 2022 won't be this oxidized.
Are they still bottling it? Can you get bottles of the new one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got like 10.
Okay, cool.
It may be that it's taken up all the oxygen that it can in the last 8 years, and it's finally given up the ghost. I mean, the cap can absorb oxygen, but it can only absorb so much.
Right.
Yeah, they're really marketing the cans though, and a can is a better storage medium for the beer for sure. Like
I
it
noticed
just keeps it oxygen free.
Yeah.
Well, not oxygen free, but yeah, it's
the Lagunitas hop water, and they're transitioning to cans now too.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
There's no ingress like you get from the cap, and that's probably part of the reason why the head is dying on this older one. But I'm getting toffee and like raisiny, caramelly.
Kick it off. Yeah, we've been you and I've been nattering for 10 minutes for Char. Char, what do you get? Why don't you hit us up with your thoughts on the 14 here?
Well, you know, I like the aroma a lot, or the flavor a lot more than the aroma. The aroma does hit you with that kind of paint thinner and oxidation and kind of honey, and it leads you to believe this is going to be a big mess, and it's just way too old. And yeah, it's 8 years old. But when you actually get into it, you know, it's not nearly as bitter as the 22. The hops, as you would expect, a lot of the hops have dropped out, but you're left with like a really interesting kind of malty character.
Yes. Yeah.
That's like a rich, you know, you talked about old ale before. This kind of reminds me, the flavor reminds me of an old ale. You know, it's got that kind of winter warmer character, and this is not brewed to be a winter warmer, right? This is an IPA, it's a red IPA.
Right.
But this 8-year-old one does give that kind of character of an old ale that's pleasant, that's been sitting around for a while, aging, like you sometimes want an old ale to do, is why it's an old ale. And you're not getting a lot of the bitterness or the hop flavor, but it's become a real interesting malty beer, flavor-wise.
If I gave this to you and said, here's my American barley wine, what would you think about what I gave you? If you had this in your glass, thinking it's an American barley wine.
If you said it was an aged American barley wine,
yeah,
I'd agree with you. I mean, it's not as hoppy as the 22, but the bitterness, there's still some bitterness there.
Yeah.
Right? It's not all gone away. It's got a lot of great malt character. It's got the caramel. It's got the toffee. It's definitely gotten more complex. You know, there's definitely been some oxidation with time, but as you can tell from the color, but in a good way, I think. You know, it's just don't smell it too much before you drink it, and it'll be a lot better experience.
Yeah, I agree. Cooper, do you get barley wine vibes out of this?
Well, no, it's definitely not alcoholic enough for that, but it does have some of the elements of an aged barley wine for sure.
Well, that's why I said vibe.
The raisiny,
Come on, you got to talk like a millennial.
Yeah, there's some raisiny there, that's for sure.
Everything
you tried to convince me that it was a barley wine. It would be a much lighter version of the barley wine strength wise.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that the head kind of fades. Like you could like, oh, there must be some alcohol in this. But I'm wondering what you think about the body difference. Again, it doesn't seem like there's a big drastic difference. Once the body kind of lightens and drops off on the 21, this doesn't get like super, super thin bodied. It still has a somewhat of a fullness, not, it's not just watery consistency. It's kind of close to the 21 in the body fullness.
I agree. And is that lack of carbonation? not lack of, but you know, I mean, there's considerably less
Yeah.
carbonation in this one.
That you're feeling just the liquid in your mouth with the sugars
Yeah.
or the you know, the carbohydrates that are left in it. I don't know. It's a different experience.
It is.
As
It's
you know,
almost uncomfortable.
Yeah. I need to probably mix all three of these.
You have to. It's almost like drinking, you know what? It's like drinking a cocktail. You know what I mean? Where it's like sometimes cocktails, you float a little bit of like soda water on top or whatever. It's sort of like that because or the prickliness, maybe it's just like an acidity, right? In the drink. It's sort of like that. It's there's something there that I'm not entirely sure about.
Okay, yeah, the mix is interesting because it's got a little bit of that barley wine adjacent kind of quality with the hops coming back again. But it's two of the newer vintages with one really old one. So the old one's kind of losing out. It's interesting to mix all three. I like it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna do that.
You should do it.
If I wanted to sort of replicate some of these flavors, like in the older ones, how would I do that? Is it just like Special B, or is there something about aging malts like this that you can't necessarily replicate with other malt? Does that question make sense? Like if I want to make an old ale, I can't just go, well, here, get some Special B and some fucking biscuit malt and some John's, and then 6 months later I have an old ale. Like you can get some of the flavors, but I don't think you can get. There's something developed about these aged flavors, aged in a good way, that can you really just replicate with malt?
I think it's kind of a reaction between like some of the Maillard products of the malting process as they age alongside some alcohol, turning into some of those richer flavors. So just use good malts. Try not to get too much oxygen because you're going to go to cardboardy. Yeah, but a little oxygen.
You can't force age it. Like my first thinking was you could try to force age it. Put up on the roof of your house in the summer or something, or in the attic, but that always ends up just super cardboard. John Watson here used to give a BJCP class, and that's what he would take some beer, put it on the roof of his apartment building for like 2 weeks before that class, and that was how you knew what cardboard was. Because it was up there in the summertime in Sunnyvale, and it would get to about 150 degrees up there or something, and it'd just be nasty. But you can try to replicate some of that aging with Special B and some of those malts, but there's really no substitute for a good natural aging of that. I don't think.
I want to clarify, there is no I don't get cardboard or paper.
Oh, no.
Or oxidization in that regard in this 14 or any of them for that matter.
No, but that's why I was saying that trying to force it is going to make it cardboard.
Right. But excuse me. But that malt is sort of degraded in an elegant way. May we all degrade in such an elegant way as Celebration from Sierra Nevada Brewing Company.
Just listen to the last 5 years of Dr. Homebrew and see if that's true.
Well, man, Renaissance time.
Well, and I think as you go stronger and stronger in the alcohol, you get more towards the sherry-like kind of flavor. I'm getting a little, there might be a tiny bit of sherry-like, but in a barley wine, you're going to get more of that rich sherry-like flavor in a barley wine that's aged because of the stronger alcohol.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. There's a hint of sherry in there.
So it's more raisiny, more toffee and caramel, just kind of accenting the fruitiness that's there, turning into more of a fruity malt beer. But dried fruit, some stone fruit, not a whole lot of sherry, but it is kind of, it's not wine-like per se, but it's leaning towards some of those barley wine-like qualities you get.
Well, I'll tell you, after spending time with the 14, I'm going to go back to the 22. And feel like a divorced dad getting back into the dating.
Ooh, taste that fresh hop.
Wow, god damn it, that's different.
They're really different. They are really different beers,
and I know they are. And yet I'm still very surprised. Like that is bitter and not grassy but green. Like so much this different aspect of the hops are coming through.
Almost a little piney, like
more piney than I thought was possible.
Yeah,
wow,
that,
man,
that does give you
go.
a hop burst.
Yeah, you deaden your palate with something else, something soft and delicate and whatever. And then you go right back to the rocket ship to the tongue, man.
Yeah,
That's a
that
trip.
Chinook really kind of comes out when you come back to it.
Yeah, that's a trip. What a trip.
Well,
Man,
then bounce.
I love Chinook,
Yeah.
and Chinook doesn't get used that much anymore. I mean, that's an old school. That's a real old school hop. And it was even back in the day in the 90s that got misused a lot or overused. And you had like these weird Pine Sol beers that were like just all Chinook.
We were still trying to learn, man.
Yeah, but still, when you're Chinook used properly and in combination with other hops is a really good hop.
I feel like that era of commercial brewing was sort of like being at your middle school dance, where you're just trying to figure it out, and you're going to be really clumsy about it, and you're going to listen to advice from your uncle.
Oh, look at cool Jason over here who actually went to a middle school dance. Oh my God.
Yeah. And, and then you're going to fumble, and then, you're going to be too aggressive, and then you're going to back off, and you're going to whatever. That's what I feel like.
That's pretty much what Chinook is. Yes.
Yeah.
Chinook is an awkward preteen boy at a middle school dance.
Absolutely. Yeah. At least that era of brewing was, for sure.
Yeah.
So I will say, Cooper, you know what? Maybe you've gotten me not wanting to age this as long, because I think a year is probably too long.
A year is probably as far as I'd want to go.
Because this 21 is fine, but it's not as good as the 22. So, but I do want that hop to round off a little bit. So I would say 4 to 6 months is my window. I'm going to hold on to something. Trust me, I will have cans of this in 4 to 6 months.
Yeah, the 21 is still very drinkable and smooth, and it doesn't.
It is, but it's not.
If you bounce between the 14 to that, it's like night and day difference. It's still, but not quite to the extreme with the really pungent, sharp bitterness and bright hops.
It's good.
It's pleasant.
It's still drinkable, but it's not what makes Celebration special, in my opinion. No. It's good, but it's not Celebration. There's something about, and I've been trying to figure it out, like what is it about this beer that I like so much? And I think it's the hop. I think it's the hops. I think it's the hop usage and the hop flavor and intensity without being so aggressively over bitter. That's what I think I really like about this beer.
What's missing is the resiny. It's just not as resiny after a year.
And part of what makes it not over bitter is the hefty malt backbone here. That is the old school, and I think it's fair to call this a red IPA. This has got the malt backbone that really backs up that 65 IBUs.
I agree.
You guys are really missing out with the 3-way blend here.
I know we are, man. We're always missing out on the 3-way.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? I can
remember back to your first middle school dance.
I can only drink one. I can only taste one beer at a time.
The suicide soda, where they mix all the different kinds of soda together.
Everything that is in the dispenser. Oh yeah.
At the roller skating rink.
I would go to my friend and I real fast. We'll take a break. My friend and I would skate down to Carl's Jr. when we were like 12. And we'd have like $5-6 between us, and we'd get large fries, like 2 or 3 large fries and 1 small drink. And we'd pour them all in the tray, go in a corner, and then just dump salt on them, ketchup, big pile of ketchup, dump salt in the ketchup. And then we would do suicide at the soda fountain and just sit there for like an hour and overdose on sodium. It was great.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to hit up the Delirium Noel. We're going to drink the Belgian Christmas beer. That's a style. I don't know. And we'll figure that out. But yeah, this was cool. Cooper, thanks for sacrificing your 14 for us, man.
No problem.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
I've got a fair amount more. I accidentally saved a pack from back when.
Yeah, accidentally. I hate it when I accidentally save great beer.
Yeah.
All right, everyone, hang on real fast. It's Dr. Homebrew. We'll be right back. Okay, everyone, thanks for hanging out. This is our second beer in the Dr. Homebrew. What did we say? New Year? I don't know.
Dr. Commercial Brew.
There you go. Dr. Commercial
Our
Brew.
very special Christmas or New Year's episode of 2023.
Yeah.
We're feeling festive.
I like doing stuff like this every once in a while. I know, Cooper, you really want to do homebrew, and I get it, and I understand that, and I agree. Every once in a while, you gotta just drink some fun stuff, man.
I'm itching to send you the latest iteration of my hazy IPA that we've been trying to help perfect. But the latest version, it
can't
has
wait for that to never happen.
So it went a little stronger, and I brewed another one. I've been trying to just make subtle changes, and it ended up a little stronger because in my Pico brew, like there was a little bit of water coming out the top because I had the grain bin so full. It was just like a little bit of the water instead of sinking in was coming out the top and coming out the bottom. At first I thought I had a major problem. And then I just figured out it was just water. It wasn't like actual beer or wort. So it ended up like quite a bit stronger. Well, not quite a bit, but like, you know, like it was 1074 instead of 1066 or something like that. So it's more like IPA and a half. So thinking I dry hopped it a little extra. This is just a side story, but I dry hopped it a little extra and it went straight to like hop burn. It was just like that, treading that line between like 5 ounces of hops in a 2.5 gallon batch, going to 6 ounces of dry hops it was maybe a 2.25 gallon batch or something, was just too much and pushed it over the edge. It's not like sharply burning, but you don't want to taste it, but I want to send it to you.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'll try anything a couple times.
But I want to do another batch of that. Maybe I'll do another batch and send it to you guys again.
All right.
Cool. I'm learning.
Delirium Noel, the Christmas beer. So if the name sounds familiar, it's the cool like earth and stone looking bottles with the pink elephant on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not Delirium Tremens, which I almost got by accident. It's the Christmas one.
Yes.
It's got a big head that does settle pretty quickly.
Yeah. So if you get the same beer in Belgium, it's Delirium Christmas beer. So they're the same thing.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah.
You would think that Noel would be the the sort of European one.
With the umlaut, where they're marketing it as a nice European beer, but it completes the Delirium trilogy. You go from the Tremens to the Nocturnum to the Noel or Christmas.
You go to
beer.
the webpage for the beer, and it's got the bottle is Delirium Christmas, unlike the Delirium Noel bottle in the U.S. And the glass says Delirium Noel, though, so they got all their bases covered.
They don't give a shit, dude. Yeah,
no, they don't give a fuck. They're Belgian.
You would think that the Tremin would be last because isn't that like the DTs where that's why it's a pink elephant, because you're just going through alcohol withdrawal.
Right.
But clearly they've leaned into their Delirium branding super hard, and all of their 8 beers on their webpage are all Delirium something, and they all have a pink elephant.
Yes. Well, yeah, that's their mascot.
And in the Delirium Noel on the glass, there's like 3 of those pink elephants driving Santa's sleigh. On the bottle, it's just like standing in the snow.
I love it. All right, so this is just a Christmas ale, Cooper. You said that's what the style would be. Is that a category?
We're going to call this a 30C winter seasonal beer.
What's interesting is Beer Advocate. I was looking it up at the break, and Beer Advocate calls this a Belgian dark strong, along with several other sites. But I agree with your categorization more.
It is a spiced Belgian dark strong. So it's the Nocturnum amped up a little bit. So, different breweries have different approaches. Sometimes they'll take their flagship beer for the holidays and amp it up alcohol wise, make it into a kind of a warmer version of whatever they brewed. And, there's a wide variety of, ranges of interpretation that can go into making a winter seasonal beer. So it's usually a stronger, darker, spiced beer that often has a rich body and warming finish, suggesting a good accompaniment for the cold winter season. That's all the style really entails, and there's a lot of room for interpretation in there. So it's usually going to be an amber to dark brown beer. Darker is a little more common, and the spice is as always going to be an element here. And the Americans will kind of tend to overspice things. I think that the Belgians kind of let the spices from their fermentation accent some of the spices, that they're adding to it. But
the aroma is really interesting, and that the aroma, you get like a spice charge from it, but it also, you get like some ethanol, but it's not like real harsh. It's not a fusel or anything. It's really kind of different and interesting. I kind of like it.
So JP, you got the smaller bottle, or did you get
Yeah.
the big? Yeah, you got the 11.2s. Yeah.
Yeah, I got the smaller guy. What am I going to do? Drink a whole bottle like that?
Yeah.
750? Nah, man.
I found the big one.
That's
Yeah.
75 milliliters of sweet ethanol, though. You're missing out on it, JP.
Well, excuse me. I'm trying to figure out the date code, so it sort of tuned out a little bit.
My
75.
cork says 2022. There's a
Oh, you have
cork on mine.
Of course,
Yeah.
you have a cork.
Because it's the bigger one. The big fella, you get the cork. The smaller bottle, you take what you get.
The first
date code,
26 days are represented by. What the hell did this go?
22152. I don't know.
Like, do they use the Julian code, which is what everyone sort of uses? Months are coded thusly: January. This has an L19. So what the fuck is L? That's nothing. So already it's off.
Probably it's some French name for a month.
And then it has 21246.
That means this was brewed in 1953.
There you go. Yeah, that's what I think too, man.
It's been sitting on the shelf in Oakley since then.
Mine starts with a 2.2, so you might actually have last year's if it's a 2.1.
That would piss me off, dude.
It would. I can tell.
All right, well, fuck it. Who cares?
I went to the good liquor store by Whole Foods in Lafayette. I think it's Jackson's, and it was I was kind of
real hard, dude. That place rules.
Yeah, that place is real good. And my wife works like a quarter mile away from there.
Okay.
So I popped in real quick before I picked her up from work earlier this week. And they had the Delirium Noel. I figured that if anyone local in Lafayette would, it'd be them.
I'll tell you what.
Otherwise, it was Total Wine.
They also have, not to be bougie, but they have a good champagne selection, like an aged champagne selection.
Whenever
nice. Whenever we have like a special event, like an anniversary, I'll go there and get like a nice bottle of champagne. Just, whatever.
I like a nice champagne that's an actual French champagne, not like the super expensive ones. They really rather spend over $100 or anything, but special occasion, sometimes like an age like few years old that you can maybe pick up for $50-$60. That's a nice treat.
I think, Cooper, it does taste old. Like, it doesn't taste very good. It's sort of like if some knucklehead was to blend two old Celebration ales. And I don't know what that. No, but it almost tastes like the maltiness of the 2014 with some of the bitterness of the 21.
I don't think it's as malty as the 2014.
It's this weird disconnect.
I think it's the high alcohol, and even the webpage talks about a strong presence of alcohol.
Really?
I pulled mine out of the fridge not that long ago, and that could be deadening me to some of the malt. But I'm not thinking it's that great. And it maybe yours is being maybe a little more old because your surface area to volume ratio is going to be different than the bigger bottles.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So if there was oxygen that's in the neck of the bottle or something, it's going to be a greater volume of oxygen per volume that we get in a bigger bottle.
Interesting. All right. Yeah, it's what do we think?
I just poured mine. I've been spending so much time trying to help you figure out the date thing.
Oh yeah, it's my fault.
I think it's okay. It's all right. That's maybe the bad. It's not bad.
The initial aroma wasn't what I expected. But it's fruity and spicy.
On their website, it says color and sight. They say EBC 45. What's EBC, like SRM?
Yeah, it's the European Brewing Commission or something. It's it's like SRM.
Chestnut amber, a fine white, creamy, and lacing foam. And then they have scent, a complex entity of caramel malt, fruit, spices, and the sweetness of the alcohol. Yeah, so they are letting you know that you're going to taste it.
Yep.
Flavor with a U.
So you said
flavor.
IBU 26. Okay.
So 40
strong presence of alcohol, very spicy, slightly bitter. The aftertaste is sweet, spicy, and slightly bitter. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is.
45 EBC would be about 22.8 SRM, 22, almost 23 SRM. If you consult the converter.
Okay. Wow. So like I poured the beer in like this sort of like 10-ounce fluted glass just to try, and then I have other glasses because I like fucking around with them. These are the 10-ounce like straight wall like we do at beer fests. Look at all that foam just kick up.
Boom.
It's a very highly carbonated beer.
Yeah, and that it's a big head and it settles pretty fast.
And they have this in a Duval glass, and it's no normal head, but like this straight wall glass really foamed up.
Right. So if you've had Delirium Tremens and you've had Delirium Nocturnum, you're completing the trilogy by tasting this beer, the Delirium Christmas. I like the poorly translated commercial description of born in 2000, yet it is brewed only for the Christmas and New Year and complete the trilogy of Delirium. His approach is already a superb, warm copper color to red, recalling Nocturnum, except in its taste. At first glance, it hides its subtlety by a level of flavors. It be approached with confidence, with a tinge typical Christmas, sauced with a sweet touch, then covered with a bitter tone, without extension, and then a strange sensation of freshness on the tongue. Finally, it frees itself entirely from the bottom of the palace, like a pepper on a salad of the season. It is assessed at the first sip and loyalty to the second. However, its high volume of alcohol consumption
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Liable.
I don't like it.
I think
it
let me
like
cleanse
AI
the
wrote
palate
that.
by saying this won a gold at the London Beer Competition in 2022.
So they boosted up the alcohol of the Nocturnum, and they've added some spices.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
It's a very fruity beer. You get raisin, plum, a little bit of cherry, and it's just the Belgian, the yeast spiciness is actually seems a little more subdued than the spices are competing with that 10% alcohol. So you're getting a kind of a warm fruit pie, a spiced fruit pie kind of a quality to it as you get into the flavor and let it warm up a little bit. I need to let it warm up a little more.
Yeah, that 10% ethanol is really just overwhelming everything. And mine is still kind of cold, but it's definitely the lead. And there's almost a weird metallic scent to it. And I think it's the spices in combination with the alcohol. This is not like what I would call metallic in a judging sense, but it kind of hits me in that kind of it's got that note of being kind of sharp.
Yeah, well, it's just there's so much carbonation in it. When it first hit me too in the nose, it was like, wow, it's just it's almost like the flavor and feel of carbonation in your nose. It's just like that, like smelling when you put your nose into a keg of carbon dioxide and just accidentally sniff some of that. It's almost like that. It's like seltzer nose.
I agree.
Biting. But as that blows off and you get the beer, it's actually quite pleasant. You get more of the fruitiness and the nice spice.
Yeah, and for me, I'm not entirely sure where the spices are. They do sort of blend together. You know what I mean? It could be it could be because it's old. So I do maybe want to try to get the bigger bottle. It's like you got a Bevmo, I would think a year, but whatever. Maybe I'll see if I can do that, because I would like to taste some of the spice. Like you sort of get maybe like the woodiness of like a cinnamon sort of at the end. Not that there's cinnamon in there, but it's that sort of like the woody spice kind of at the end. But it could be, yeast and malt combined with, 6 months in heat could do that. I don't know. It's very interesting. I'll tell you, it's not as complex as I would have assumed.
No, it certainly isn't.
Right.
And I wonder if the fruit and the spices are not additions of fruit and spice, but are descriptors of like fruity esters from fermentation of a very high alcohol beer, and the kind of spices you get from some Belgian yeasts for a high alcohol beer.
Yeah.
Well,
what do you think about the is it a would you consider this a Christmas beer? Does it tick those boxes? Is it
not
spicy?
In the American sense of like Christmas beer? A lot of times you'll have a Christmas beer, you'll have we're going to take our amber ale and amp it up to imperial amber and add some spices, or we're going to take our whatever beer that we've got. But It is strong, and the alcohol is fairly smooth for what's there. As the carbon dioxide blows off, it gets smoother.
Yeah,
But
this is not particularly. I mean, I guess Celebration Ale, in a sense, isn't terribly Christmassy either, aside from the fact that it's a yearly thing done at Christmas. But I don't know. This is, if you think of a big beer that's supposed to be complex, there's just not a lot of complexity here.
Yes, right. It's very, and maybe it's from an American lens, right? American beer drinker lens. But
oh yeah,
I look at this and I would go, it's very obviously Christmassy. It's called Noel. It has the Santa hats on the pink elephants. There's a fucking goddamn snowman here.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually, they're looking at the label. There's Santa trying to get down the tree, and it looks like he's dropping flaming hot like coal on Frosty or whatever. Like it's very Christmassy themed. You would think that it's sort of this big, robust, spicy, whatever, right? But it's sort of not. It's sort of like I don't want to say you would go down to any average pub in America, any bar in America, and get this sort of brew pub. But it doesn't feel special, I guess, because we have beer sort of like this all year round. Shades of it, 80%, right? Big beers with some spicy notes, whether it's from spices or not. I think we're sort of used to this, so it doesn't really live up to my perceived hype, I guess.
You're used to drinking 10% Belgian beers every day.
You know what I mean? Not
Okay.
so literal, but in terms of like flavors, where you can go down basically anywhere and get a beer like this to a certain extent. It's not
you get a triple IPA. It's going to be 10%.
Yeah, something like that, man.
Thanks. This is nothing like a triple IPA.
No, but this has got. I mean, there's a lot of ethanol in here, without a lot of the malt structure I would expect from a Belgian beer to back that up. Especially like a Belgian dark strong, which is supposed to have a lot of complexity, malt complexity. I'd want to have more spices, more fruitiness. I want to have a little hint of banana from a big Belgian beer like this. And it's just not delivering on any of that.
That's what I mean. I'm not saying that it's like you can go down to, I don't know, fucking Firestone and get an exact clone. I'm not saying that.
Right.
But there are shades of beers like this. So I wonder if it's not as impressive, where I'm imagining in Europe, you have like all these lighter beers, and then these are the beers you go to in the winter time. But for us, for American brewers, they'll have beers that are this big, at least malty, in the fucking summer sometimes.
Yeah,
that's what
sometimes.
I'm saying.
Sure.
Also, they have, I'm looking at their website, they have an export beer. It's a lager, 4.5%. I fucking want it. That's what I want to drink.
Which one is that?
Literally called Export.
Oh, okay.
Blonde Export. Yeah. Brewery Hügge, Huyghe.
Hügge. Yeah, something.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, it must be on just the plain Delirium site. So
from 1654. That's how long that brewery.
Yeah, this brewery is like 368 years old. That's crazy.
God, dude. Awesome.
It's the oldest brewery in Ghent, and they're still making beers. It's a family operation, and it's pretty cool. They have a good name, and people seek out the Nocturnum and the Delirium Tremens. It's a mainstay in craft beer purveyors since I started drinking. That you could it was one of the rarer ones you could see here when you first started seeing really good imports. And it's like, wow, that's a cool looking beer. I should try that. And that's
absolutely
good.
Let's see. That export lager that you were looking at, JP.
Yeah.
Under flavor, it says it has good bitterness, balanced taste, light sweetness, and bitter aftertaste. This would be a very poor score on the BJCP exam.
It might be an IPA,
man. I mean, that sounds. And anyway, on the Delirium site, you can go in like their shop, and they have like an American shop. They have shit here. It's fucking cheap, dude. They have, watches for $25, which is obviously cheap, but they have like hats for $12. Where are you gonna get a brewery branded hat for that little amount of money, and glasses for $7? Like, damn, dude, they love it. Anyway, so I poured it in 3 different glasses. I think I like it just in the bottom part of my Duvel glass best.
Yeah, I'm using
rounds that malt out.
Like kind of a bowl shaped, kind of a tulip, sipper glass.
It focuses the spices. Like drinking out of this, I get more of the spices. I get that woody, spicy, but more of the spice coming through versus this little guy from here.
I'm drinking out of this Guinness glass, which is
as it warms.
It warms, yeah, you're right. As it warms, it's
the malt complexity comes out a little more. It doesn't seem overspiced, which I like. I don't want an overspiced Christmas beer.
Here, okay. Let me give you what I've discovered about these 3 glasses. So the Duvel is my favorite. It really focuses everything. It rounds out the malt. It's by far the preferred glass. This beer, it's basically a smaller, whiskey tasting glass, even though it's from a brewery. It's different. It doesn't really focus the spices so much, so it makes that malt a little weirder. It's a little more 2-dimensional in that regard. Although as it warms up, it is blossoming more, but it's sort of like the malt feels more caramely.
Mm-hmm. I'm getting more toasty. Well, okay, yeah, you're talking about the difference in the glasses, though. Yeah.
This straight wall 10-ounce like festival glass that we have, which is what I drink everything out of when I taste beer. It is like a fucking 1-dimensional Kool-Aid. It is nothing. Like there's almost no aroma. There's a little bit of aroma. The flavor of the malt is not there at all. Like at all. And then there's a tannin.
Fascinating.
There's a tanninness of the spices that you don't get in either of the other 2 glasses. There's no sweetness really. It's dry. Very weird. I always say, like, fuck these stupid glass shapes. No one cares, right? Sour beers, I noticed a difference. Like, I kind of prefer sour beers in a straight wall glass like this. I don't know. It accentuates the sourness a little bit. But with a true beer like this, I've never had a more drastic comparison.
That's pretty fascinating.
Than I have between these 2 beers. So if you have some out there at your house after the show, go pour it in a couple different glasses. Check it out. It's fucking weird, man. It's very weird. The brain and the nose is so weird.
I'm trying the same thing here. I got my straight sidewall glass here, the little short one that I taste almost everything out of. And I mean, granted that the goblet kind of tulip Belgian glass is warmer for sure, but
yeah,
the aroma is different. It is different on a straight wall glass.
And you get a hotness out of it too, which is fine. I don't mind. I mean, it's part of the flavor. They say it on the website, right? What do you think, Cooper? He's putting his big old nose in there. Let's see what happens. He's drinking it. He's pounding it. Cooper, what are you doing? You're chugging the whole bottle? It's going through one of those swirly straws that has his name Brian written out in it.
That would be hilarious.
It's a 10% beer. I'm just going to town. Yeah.
What do you think? Am I right?
I agreed. Yeah, I agree to a great extent that the straight wall, like short glass, there's something about the tasting kind of goblet that has a little flare at the top that holds the aroma in there.
Yeah.
And you cover it with your hand and swirl it and you get even more.
I always thought that was bullshit. So let me ask you guys a question. When you're judging beers at a competition, all you have are the same size glassware.
Right. It's the same. Either every now and then you go to a place that has like a taster sized glass, but usually you have like a small plastic or corn plastic cup, and it's the same for everything.
So how do you, I mean, is that doing a disservice to the beer if you're not, and I'm not saying like style appropriate glassware, but if you, I mean, that's sort of like the uncontrollable when you enter a beer competition, that's the uncontrollable variable is what vessel. I mean, these 2 glasses could not be more different. They absolutely couldn't. Yeah. Not if one of these was just filled with fucking tacks and they had a beer in it, they couldn't be more different. So I would think like, I don't know if I'm entering this competition with this style of beer, I know I'm going to get fucked over.
I don't know. I mean, you're getting, I don't disbelieve anything you're saying about the glass size for this beer.
Better not,
I'll
I'll fight you.
But you know where I live, man. Come at me.
That's right. Yeah, let's go.
But all you can do in competition is minimize that by giving everyone the same glass. So if it's the style, in my opinion, so maybe it's a style that would benefit from a tulip. Well, you're not going to get a tulip in competition. That's just the way it's going to be. So everyone has the same disadvantage of not having a tulip in that category. So no one is disadvantaged by having that shape, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Everyone's getting fucked equally.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah, the judges do their best. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't agree to the extent that there's no aroma coming out of this one at all. It's there. It's just different than the deeper one. But again, I have a temperature difference here too. So I don't know. It's as it warms, I get a little more.
I mean, and I'm at first I was like, well, maybe that's a little, bombastic or whatever, but I smell it again and I would be hard pressed to find aroma out of that. I mean, it's there a little bit, maybe 20%, maybe 20% of the aroma. How about that?
So that's why in competitions, judges a lot of times will concentrate the aromas by, covering the glass with your hand and swirling it, letting all of that stuff rise
make like a little teeny little V to shove your nose in the little cup.
Hopefully you don't have a lot of lotion and stuff on your hands, but then
always.
Then
I take my lotion glove off before I judge a beer. So
yeah.
Yeah, that does work. But even the aromas coming out of that. Like, so I do that and I get like a lot of cherry, those kind of fruit flavors, but putting it over the Duval glass, let's see what I get. I love this. Shit's fun to me. I don't know why. Yeah, no, you know what? Honestly, it may be a little deeper malt aroma, but comparatively, their aromas are the same-ish enough for me.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. It's a way to maybe get around that. The flavor's still different, but aroma-wise, it does work. That's fun.
You can get there. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of times, like if you're if you're not getting much aroma from it at all, maybe it's the shape of the glass. Maybe it's because you're in a location that's not ideal for judging. And not every time you judge a competition, it's ideal for judging. And that kind of putting your hand over it and swirling it around really does help the aroma come out, especially the temperature, the warmth of your hands. If this sample is served really low temperature in competition, that will help the aroma come out a lot of the time. So you'll get something where maybe you weren't getting anything at all before.
Interesting. Yeah, it's fun. Well, look, this is our Christmas gift to you. We're gonna we took one break and that's it. I think we're gonna get out of here. I think we're done with the show.
Okay.
What
do you think of that?
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for partaking in our little New Year's Christmassy sort of a commercial beer tasting dissection. I don't know. It's different from our commercial calibration shows. I'm gonna have a hard time trying to write the description for this show. But I think it was fun, man. I think we learned a lot, and interesting stuff. I like these shows. Every once in a while, I just sort of cut loose and just bullshit about beer.
The name of the show will be JP Delves into Glassware Differences.
You're right. Or like acquiesces to the same thing that people have been telling him for 20 years.
It's the most wonderful time of the year, so yeah.
Yeah.
It's the most wonderful.
No one needs to hear that.
No, Happy New Year. Wants to hear that.
Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. If you want to be on the show, if you want to give us homebrew to alleviate us from having to buy more commercial beer to talk about, email Brian at thebrewingnetwork.com and he will get you all sorted out to be on the show. I also want to thank our sponsor, 5-Star. You can go to 5starchemicals.com and sign up for their homebrew club newsletter and stuff like that over there. And they're good people. They've been supporting the show since day one. And I really appreciate it. So thank you. And thank you, everybody, for listening to the show and supporting the Brewing Network and Dr. Homebrew specifically for all these years. It means a lot. It's really fun for us to be able to come in here and do something we enjoy doing, talking to you guys about beer and helping you guys make some better beer.
Anybody in the Bay Area wants to become a beer judge, I'm giving an exam on June 3rd here in Livermore, California. So that's up on the exam website. If anyone's interested in learning what it takes to become a beer judge, let us know. We can talk to you about that. We could do a whole show about that, becoming a beer judge.
Meet a Dr. Homebrew and learn from Dr. Homebrew.
Sure.
I think I'm going to help you with at least one of those, right, Coop?
I think so.
There you go. Hey, in 6 months, we'll all be on Cameo. You can buy a personalized greeting from Dr. Homebrew.
I should. Why am I not on Cameo right now? I should be. I could be making $3 or $4 a month.
Maybe you
could.
Yeah, maybe if you're lucky.
I know.
All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. And until next time, we'll see you later.